Big injury last night for Florida State. What does this mean for their playoff hopes or even their aspirations for the ACC? We'll talk about all that and more as I cover my college football top 25. But stick with me till the end of the video. I'm also going to give you my top 5 Heisman Trophy contenders. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below where we had that nice, beautiful football discourse. Let's go ahead, discuss my college football top 25. But first, I want to talk about the teams who fell out of it, starting with North Carolina, traveling to Death Valley, falling short. Clemson beats them 31-20. A star was born in Nate Wiggins, might be cornerback 1 now in the 2024 NFL draft. I mean, I was tweeting that out, so a lot of people are already kind of riding the hype on Wiggins, and maybe this game, potentially I'm going to go back and watch it, may have cemented it for me, but tough loss for North Carolina. They fall to 8-3. Kansas, they fall to 7-4 with the tough loss against Kansas State, where they were down Jalen Daniels, they were down Jason B. They were playing the third string quarterback. The team played with heart, but they ended up falling short. Really sucks. I love Kansas. They're just that underdog you want to root for. Kind of is what it is. And then Utah also drops to 4 losses on the season, getting smoked by Arizona. Granted, this was in Arizona. It was in the zoo. They get smoked 42-18. My 5 teams who just missed the cut. We're going to be talking about a lot of group of 5 teams. But let me cover the Power 5 team in there. NC State, sneaky, low-key, having a good year. They're at 8-3. They beat Virginia Tech 35-28. This is a team with a very good defense and an offense that's shows up sometimes. But they're playing good football. They just kind of missed the cut here. SMU got things done against Memphis 38-34. Close game. They're going to be, they will now go to the American Conference Championship game. They will face the winner of Tulane and UTSA, who is also on this list, who got things done against South Florida 49-21. This team has been hot after starting out the season on the struggle bus, so to speak, but they've gotten healthy. They could be in an upset mode against Tulane next week. That game will be on Friday night. And then New Mexico State, didn't plan on them making this, just missed it. And then they went into Auburn and slapped them silly 31-10. New Mexico State kind of came out of nowhere. 9-3, wasn't expecting that from them. Good on them. UNLV kind of cements their spot in the Mountain West Championship game, beating Air Force 31-27. They're having a wonderful year, currently 9-2. But let's get into the top 25, starting with Troy. I love the Sun Belt. I really do. They win over Louisiana 31-24. And then Iowa might be the worst team in my top 25. Listen, I'm gonna come off as an Iowa hater. I don't like that, but their games are hard to watch. They're one of the most boring teams to watch on TV. Can we all just agree to that? This offense is just meh. They're gonna go to the Big Ten championship game. They're gonna get smoked by insert Michigan or Ohio State here. They're gonna get smoked by them. It's just gonna be the case. But they're 9-2. Some way, somehow, they beat Illinois 15-13. Notre Dame, welcome back to the top 25. They steamrolled Wake Forest 45-7. Touchdown Jesus showed up. I think he had like 4 tutties in the game. And then Kansas State, I already kind of mentioned them. They got things done against a very game Kansas squad. They're 8-3. I think they still have a shot at the Big 12 championship. It just kind of matters how things go next week. We could actually take a quick look at that while we're here, as I think it would take Oklahoma having to lose to TCU. That happens Friday night. They get Iowa State, which it's an Iowa State team that's playing much better than I expected they would this season. I think they do need Oklahoma State to drop dropped their game against BYU. It's just too much to happen. I mean, yes, I guess technically they are alive, but not really. Yeah. Speaking of it, Oklahoma State, they're right here at 21, beating Houston in a close one, 43-30. They could get to 9 wins, and I think a win puts them in the conference championship game against Texas. I'm not quite sure how that'll work out with Oklahoma State having a win over Oklahoma having the win over Texas, but Texas only has 1 loss in the conference. Oklahoma has 2. So yeah, Oklahoma's kind of sitting here on a prayer. Oklahoma State, they will probably get that spot. They just gotta beat BYU. They just gotta do it. A BYU team that showed up and were game against Oklahoma. So nothing's set in stone just yet. My number 20 team here is JMU, man. The dream season came to an end. This was a team that people were clamoring for the NCAA to make them bowl eligible. If you remember, if this is your first year or if you're a new FBS team, you have to sit under this 2-year probation where you can't, you're not eligible for a bowl game. You're not eligible to win your conference championship. It's malarkey. It's stupid. It's dumb. The NCAA, they're just not fun when it comes to stuff like that. But they did end up losing in overtime to Appalachian State. Tough loss there. They just had game day there too. Mind you, they were without Jalen Green, who's out for the remainder of the year. Their top edge rusher. He was one of the sack leaders in college football. So tough loss. Big part of their defense they were missing out there. Toledo, man, if you were watching, I think it was Tuesday night, Mac Action. Oh, it was a banger against Bowling Green. I know it doesn't sound like it, but they were down like 28-10 or 28-7 early in this game. And it came on 4th and 2. They get the long touchdown to go up 32-31. And then Quinion Mitchell has the game-ending pass breakup. Oh, it was just so fun. I think Toledo's got one more game to wrap up the season with before they head to the MAC Conference Championship game. That will be against Central Michigan. Wonder if there's going to be snow. It's going to be 36 degrees, so it's going to be cold as balls. Tulane, they sit here at 10-1. They're number 18 for me. This was probably their most dominant win in a while. This is a team that has been playing unnecessarily close games against much of the conference. Will that come back to bite them against UTSA next week? We will find out, but it was just great to see them come in and just control this game. It's been a problem with them. They'll get up early and it just feels like they take the foot off the pedal. Then Oregon State, I couldn't drop them too much. This was a banger game against Washington. They found themselves down I think it was 2 scores going to halftime. And if you know, we were there for the watch along, but they come out in the second half after the first drive where DJU throws the pick, but the defense was stout. They limited Michael Penix outside of 3 receptions to Rome Odunze that kind of decided this game. 2 of them being touchdowns, 1 being the first down to actually end the game. But the Beavers played their game in the second half. Time of possession, ran the ball down their throats, and good defense. Nice long possessions. And it just ended up not being enough there at the end of the game as they were trying to get it into field goal position, and miscommunication with the tight end. Tight end just kind of quits on his route. It was like 4th and 5, 4th and 7, and DJU just misses him again because he quits on his route. Also getting pressured. Then Oregon State still having 2 timeouts, unable to stop Washington. The aforementioned Rome Odunze get in the game, ending first down. Close game, great game. I can't drop them down too much, but best believe I had to have Arizona ahead of them, who Arizona did beat Oregon State just a couple of weeks ago. Arizona's just been one of the hottest teams currently in college football. They laid the beat down to Utah 42-18. Very impressive win. Real quick, I will give a shout out to today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. When you sign up using promo code Broshmo at Underdog Fantasy, they'll match that first deposit up to $100. There's not a better place to play weekly best ball or my favorite higher or lower on player prop bets. Matter of fact, some of Gojo's picks of the week, he's an absolute sicko. He's got Jarrett McKinnon higher than 15 receiving yards, which McKinnon has actually done that in 6 of 9 games this year. So honestly, not a half bad pick. He also believes the hype. He believes that CeeDee Lamb is the best wide receiver in the league. So he's got him higher than 75 receiving yards against the Carolina Panthers. Take Dell, favorable matchup. He's going to go higher on 52 receiving yards. And then Travis Etienne, he believes the Jags, after putting up a dud, an absolute stinker last week, get it back on track. And Travis Etienne is a touchdown machine, or at least he has been for the Jags this year. So he's going to go higher than 0.5. That means Etienne just has to get 1 rush or 1 receiving touchdown. But here's the interesting one. He's going to go higher than 67.5 rushing yards for Javonte Williams. And you would think on paper, a favorable matchup against Minnesota, but defensively, they are one of the best teams in the league, EPA per run play. So that's kind of a sneaky one. If you want to change that one, I think Gojo won't mind. But please bet responsibly, bet within your means. Let's get back to the video. And then LSU coming in at 15. We'll talk about Jaden Daniels when we get to the Heisman contender talk, but they smack Georgia State as they should, 56-18. It's a shame because I think this team would be one of the better, if not one of the best teams in the country if they had a defense. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Liberty, skipping Ole Miss for a second. Let's talk Liberty. Liberty, they're currently undefeated, 11-0. Got things done against UMass. Liberty will close out the year with, I think they should end undefeated. They end the year out with UTEP. Should be an easy win. This offense just fireworks every week. I love it. But Ole Miss, they ran through Louisiana Monroe. That's to be expected. But they are out of the SEC championship contention at this point. Currently sitting at 9-2. Oklahoma, again, this is a team sitting on a prayer right now. Dylan Gabriel leaving this game prior to the end of the first half. Doesn't return after halftime. I think it was an upper body injury with him. But BYU, without Keaton Slovis, kind of showed up and competed. It's kind of wild. Oklahoma being able to get out of there, winning 31-24, but still kind of shocking. And let's keep talking about quarterbacks getting hurt. Penn State, Drew Aller, he leaves the game with a leg injury. But and I think Penn State only throws 1 pass after that. It's just wild. They just kind of take over the game on the ground, which I guess they learned something from Michigan, and they pull away from Rutgers 27-6. Rutgers offense couldn't really do much, so it just put a lot of stress on the defense. Mizzou, man, that Florida game ended up much closer than I would have anticipated, and it actually had one of the most exciting ends. After we got done streaming the Washington-Ohio State game, I turned on this game, and I was like, oh my gosh, Florida's about to win, because you had 4th and 17, but Brady Cook, man, converted 4th and 17, and then managed to make it an easy field goal for Mevis to kick the game winner. But then still chaos kind of ensued because, Florida had one last shot. They didn't get it. Everyone storms the field. Coach giving the interview, and they were like, oh, no, guys, there's 1 more second left. Florida's got 1 more chance, 1 more opportunity. So they had to scurry people off the field as Mizzou, the fans started coming back. And then they rushed the field again. And they're like, no, guys, there's 1 second. We got to have this play. So Florida, they try to shoot a ladder. It gets nipped in the bud fairly quickly. Mizzou, they escape. They're 9-2. It's a shame. I would love to see them go head-to-head with Georgia 1 more time, but the SEC won't work like that for another season. Then again, Alabama's playing really good football right now. Really, really good football. Who's Mizzou end the season with? Arkansas, that's right. Arkansas got a win today against Florida International. Good for them. Good for them. Continuing the top 10, we got Louisville, and this is we need to discuss. Louisville's got a real shot at the college football playoff. It's a bit of a long shot, but it's a real shot. It's not even that necessarily that big of a long shot. So, first things first, they need to take care of Kentucky next week. Just got to do that. Then after that, they could go win the ACC championship game against Florida State, which we'll talk about Florida State now being out without Jordan Travis for the remainder of the year. But they win the ACC. What I think the best scenario for them to make the playoff is Michigan or Ohio State, doesn't matter who. One of them, I guess best. Okay, let's go with the most likely how they can make it. Because, we could talk about all what if Iowa wins the Big Ten? I want to talk about reality. So, Michigan State, Ohio State, they're going to decide essentially who the Big Ten winner is, yet they'll still have to go on and beat Iowa, which they probably will. So, bam, you got your Big Ten winner. Georgia, they beat Alabama. Alabama, 2 losses. Georgia, no losses. Cool, got that. So, Louisville, they will jump over Alabama in that case. I think Washington needs to win out. They need to win out. They get Washington State next week, and then they'll likely take on Oregon in a rematch. They need to win that. So that'll push Oregon below Louisville. And then Texas needs to lose to whoever they may face, probably Oklahoma State, in the Big 12 championship game. And that will push Louisville to okay, you could either include a 1-loss Michigan or Ohio State team who didn't even play in the conference championship game. No, you take the 1-loss team who won the conference championship game. And I'm thinking probably it's Ohio State that ends up losing to Michigan. Again, let's just kind of talk it from there. So you look at, and with that, you could easily compare, okay, both these teams played Notre Dame, and Louisville had a field day with Notre Dame. Elevates them. Michigan, I think it gets a little more complicated if we're talking about a 1-loss Michigan team. But I think that's the path. There could be utter chaos, and Oregon ends up beating Washington in the Pac-12 championship game. Again, we're not even there. Oregon still has to go through Oregon State. But Alabama could end up winning the SEC. And again, there still can be a lot of chaos here. But there is a path for Louisville. Notice how I'm just not. I'm talking all about what can happen for Louisville. I'm just going to avoid that they beat my Hurricanes. Just going to avoid that. Alabama, they ran through Chattanooga, to be expected. How big were they? They were 40-point favorites too. So yeah, that was an easy pick 'em. You had it. Texas beat Iowa State. Iowa State stayed in the ball game. They were game. This is Quinn Ewers' first game back. Managed to get it done, but Texas still kind of feels like they're on the outside looking in at this point. Again, they kind of need some chaos to happen to even be in the discussion at this point. But right now, most important thing, win out and hope for Bedlam to happen. Oregon, they get things done against Arizona State, lay the smackdown. This was an Arizona State team that actually played Washington really well earlier in the year. It was probably Michael Penix's actually his worst game of the year. But they get things done, man. But Bo Nix had no problems. And then we talk about the top 5. I still have Washington here. I know people are going to be like, why aren't you dropping Florida State? And I'd rather they get Florida next week. Let's see how Nate Rodemaker handles that. If they win out, you got to look at their schedule. Wins over LSU, kind of big. So it's I don't think you could, if they go undefeated, they win the conference. You can't not include them. So I'm not going to drop them down there just for right now. But Jordan Travis hit was huge, man. That sucked. They were down. I think were they down 13-7 or 13-0 in that game at that point. But then again, the cream rises to the top. They're just a more talented team than North Alabama. They end up smacking them 58-13. It's a big loss, but I'm not again until something happens in terms of Florida State loses. Okay, I'll move them down, but I'm gonna keep them put there for right now. Washington, I kind of already talked about their win over Oregon State. Roma Odunze just is a stud. Still is a stud. They get Washington State, and then they will likely end up seeing Oregon for a rematch in the Pac-12 championship. Ohio State, they smack Minnesota. They smack them. They weren't looking ahead, maybe like the Wolverines were, which we'll talk about in a sec. And they will take on a game we're going to be watching next week. That's going to be our watch along. Michigan versus Ohio State. Winner essentially is the Big Ten championship. And I know some people are going to get mad. Like, I can't believe you're discounting Iowa. And it's like, we kind of do this every year. We discount whoever, like we did it with, what was it, Purdue last year? Aiden O'Connell and Purdue? I can't remember, but we do this every year with this game. Georgia, they lay the beat down. I legitimately thought about moving Georgia back up to 1. They feel like they're just a well-oiled machine, that they're ready for the SEC championship game. They're ready for the college football playoff. And I mean, what, next week, who do they got? They got Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech coming off a win against Syracuse this week, by the way. But you know what? I'm going to wait. Let's see the outcome of that Ohio State-Michigan game before we start really rearranging things. Which, Michigan, I feel like they got caught looking ahead. JJ McCarthy didn't have a good game. And this game got close late. No team could really score at the end of it. I think there was like a safety in the fourth quarter, and that was it. Michigan, they escaped 31-24. I think that just could be an instance of them looking ahead. Michigan have been slapping teams the past like a month. So I'm not hitting the panic button just yet. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment, and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet, so send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals, and guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel. Talking Heisman contenders, and we're starting with number 5, Carson Beck. Great game against Tennessee, throwing for almost 300 yards and 3 tutties, getting things done. He has been hot here down the stretch, and I think he's really just taken the reins of this offense. Number 4, I still have JJ McCarthy, but he could end up dropping down. He hasn't had the best performances. Again, Penn State was kind of it wasn't a bad performance. He was like 7-8, and they were like, oh, we're just going to keep handing the ball off and win the game that way, and they did. But this week, it was a little bit more like, this wasn't pretty. What was this? So, yeah, he might end up dropping down to 4 or down to 5 for me, but I think it's definitely the top 3 are going to be the guys we're discussing as the legitimate contenders. And we're going to start with Michael Penix, who it wasn't a pretty game passing. He had some misses here and there. He had some drops from guys like Jalen Polk, but no real mistakes. I mean, yeah, he had an interception that was like, should have been an interception, ended up being dropped. But he had 3 total touchdowns in this game, led his team to victory. And I think in terms of statistically, he's just fallen behind the other 2, which my number 2 is Bo Stinkin' Nix, thrown for 6 touchdowns, 404 yards against Arizona State. He's playing good football. People sleeping on Bo Nix. He is a legitimate contender to maybe the unanimous number 1 in Jaden Daniels. I mean, it's Georgia State. I get it, but 8 total touchdowns. I mean, the cat went off the previous week against Florida. So yeah, he came in and he was like, well, it's been a week and I'm hungry. Let's eat. And he ate. He ate. The only thing that really I could see kind of hurt him here is, well, LSU has 3 losses. That's not really on Jaden Daniels. Kind of sucks that Jaden Daniels doesn't have a competent defense there to help him out. He is currently playing like the best player in college football. And I think you can ask anybody and they would agree. I think Bo Nix, I don't think he's that close to Jaden Daniels, but I think he's the next closest. He's going to have an argument. He's going to get the extra game because he might be playing for his conference title. Let's not put the cart before the horse here. He's still got to get through Oregon State, which Oregon State's one hell of a team. But as of right now, I think Jaden Daniels should be everybody's number one almost unanimously. But that's it for the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. As always, until next time, be easy, my friends. Later.